So today it's pretty cold, it's about 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Still too cold to do anything out in the garden. So when it's cold here and we have a week, it's time for a road trip. So we're currently looking at a magnolia tree. As you can see, it's starting to bloom. They were Lewis Ginter Botanical Gardens in Virginia. And I just want to show you a couple of things. These are flowers that are just ready to bud. Today is the 23rd of February, and I guess it's a little bit warmer here. It's about 65 currently, and the blooms are starting again. And the awesomeness of this is you see all these little buds coming out. And what's unbelievable is, you know, a couple of weeks ago there was nothing here, absolutely nothing, and now everything is budding. And if you look at anything else, the human body, unfortunately when a limb is severed, it doesn't grow back. But if we look at a tree, and we'll look carefully at this one, as you can see, get back a little bit, as you can see, this is a bud that is going to be coming out soon. So the tree was dead for the winter, and now all these little buds are coming back out. And that is unbelievable, right? Because usually when something dies, it's dead, it doesn't come back. But this is actually not dead. It looks like it's dead, but it's just dormant. And we have that with some of our plants as well. We can overwinter some of our plants to keep them dormant, but they will still have their leaves. Trees will usually lose all of their leaves, but then will be able to regenerate themselves. And as we can see, some of these are in different phases. We have the really small ones here, okay? They haven't opened up yet, so we have a couple like this over here. Okay, you can see that right over there. And then we have some that are in a state that they're closed. And then we have some that are open. And of course, they will all fall off at different times as well. Come with me on a tour now. We're going to look for different things in this botanical garden, and we'll try to find interesting things that we can share. So this is a bald cypress. It's pretty regular, nothing special about it. It's like every other cypress tree, but if we look down, those are the roots coming up. That's what they look like. So while mulching is used in the garden to keep out the weeds, it's also used here for trees and flowers and plants that are growing. As you can see, all of this brown is all mulch, and the same thing with these. You can see a bark mulch on all of these as well. So the same concept that we use in the garden is used here as well, and it serves a dual purpose. Also, when these break down, they will provide nutrients into the soil as well. So this is a good sign for a garden. We have a robin in the garden, and probably searching for worms, which is a good thing. We want to make sure that we have worms in our garden. We're going to be entering now into this huge complex. It's a greenhouse, and as you can see in the windows here, they're blocking out the sun when it gets too hot, but they probably have blockage. This is the outdoor temperature, so we're about, I don't know if you can see it, it's about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm just going to show you some of the things that they have in here. As you can see, this is a massive structure, and there are all tropical plants growing in here, and some really beautiful flowers. You know, one of the things that we take for granted, again, is that God gave us all these beautiful colors. Everything could have been gray or black and white, but He gave us all of these flowers. All different types of flowers. And if you look deep inside these flowers, it's also fairly complex in there. If you look at the symmetry of the lines on these, it's just gorgeous. So I want to show you this tree from South Africa, especially the leaves. These are massive leaves. And look how high they grow off the stalk. And again, look at the beauty of these flowers. Beauty is amazing. These over here are called moth orchids. It's called a corsage orchid, and you can see it's very humid in here, and they probably spray some water on, so it is dropping some water on there, and that can come from the humidity, and it can also come from water. But if you look at these, you look at what God put on this earth, it is just so splendid. It is unbelievable. All these different types of flowers, and even the plants. Look at that, it looks like somebody painted the plant. Such vibrant colors. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look at the lines on these things, they're magnificent. Again, all different kinds of patterns. It's called an elephant ear plant. And again, with huge leaves. Also different from each other. So many thousands of different species and plants that God created. These are called moth orchids, and as you can see, new flowers be coming out of these as well. These are called flamingo flowers. Look at how the plant has these things sticking out of them. Look at these beautiful, vibrant red and yellow. Again, these are all real. They're not fake. They're not painted by anyone. This unique tree. This is called a screw pine, and if we look at the roots are probably like this because of the place that it grew in. That's the only way it could hold on to the ground. Amazing. So we have a tree here. They have a bonsai exhibit. This tree over here is 60 years old, and it's called a freaking tea tree. I'm not sure what this is going to be, or if it's going to blossom again, but it is called a crepe myrtle. And this tree is called a sea grape, and it's actually 65 years old. So it's a mini tree, 65 years old. a Chinese banyan that's also 65 years old, like miniature trees. This is a laceback elm. It's only 25. It's a youngster. That's why it's so small, I guess. It's 25 years old. Look at this. This is nice. This is the Chinese juniper. This is 50 years old. And look at that bark. It's gorgeous. Next we have a 5-leaf Akiba Pia. And this is 45 years old. And you can see it has little flowers are going to open up. This is a willow leaf ficus. This is 70 years old. This tree is 70 years old. Look at that root system at the bottom. So complex. It's out of the earth. Just a gorgeous little bonsai tree. And here's some smaller ones. This is a 20-year-old laceback elm. The second one up is a 30-year-old. This is an azalea, rhododendron. It's about 30 years old. It's like called a parrot peak, which is 10 years old. And a banyan tree. And this is a little Scots pine, which you probably see all over the place. This is 50 years old. This one is unique. It's called a Japanese garden juniper. And it's 45 years old. So this is a setup to show you how they work with bonsai trees. Because they don't grow like this, they actually are made in terms of they will do many things to it. Watered multiple times per day?
What, per week?
Oh, per week?
Per week, yeah.
You do it once a week or?
Well, it depends. Some things, like the orchids, get watered on Monday,
Right.
and that's it. And then this thoroughly gets watered Tuesday, Friday. But then pots, especially in the summer, get all these gazillions of little pots every day if they need it. They test it and see.
Right. It's unbelievable. Over here are some cacti that many of you might have seen. As you can see, there's shade. They have side vents, and it's all electric. They can pull out the vents. They can put the shades down when it's too hot. And if you look up top, you'll see the shade cloth that they pull across the top. That white stuff is called shade cloth. So the shade cloth can be put on when it gets too hot in here for the flowers. So this plant over here is called a pitcher plant. And it looks like they have little pods that have pictures on them. But if you also look closely at the pod, you'll see it has little spikes at the end there. So many communities have started having community gardens where they'll have people help them with their garden, and it'll be a community thing. People will learn how to garden, and a lot of the crops that are grown in there will go to the local homeless shelters or different places where people need food. So they have one over here, and what they've done is they set up beds, and as you can see, they have beds, and they also have different types of things growing now, like kale, which are one of the crops. And as you can see, they put up little hoops so they can put plastic over it and start the crops outside early. They also have strategically placed beehives as pollinators for this garden, and they strategically placed it right near the garden. So when the bees get active, they'll start pollinating all of the different vegetables or things that are being grown. They usually plant garlic in the fall, and you'll probably take it out of the ground in late spring, early summer. So they're growing all their garlic over here outside. Again, the snow doesn't bother it, so it's an outside crop for the winter. So this is a dogwood tree. Dogwood trees usually are one of the first trees to blossom, and they also lose their leaves fairly quickly. One of the interesting things about dogwoods, if you look at the buds, these buds have been here since the end of the fall, and they grow and they stay there until the first signs of spring come out. I guess it's been warm here in Virginia, so they've come out already. But again, as you can see, a lot of the leaves have already fallen off. So again, this is one of the first to bloom and also one of the first to lose its leaves. But what will happen is that these buds, once these fall off, as you can see at the bottom here, new ones will come out, but they'll stay here the whole winter in preparation for starting out fairly quickly when the nice weather comes.